Hey guys, it's TL again. Hopefully I don't like bust your eardrums or anything. Hope not. Uh, Recording again. This will probably still go up tonight, and then I'll probably have another video later today, maybe tomorrow. I'm not sure when I'm gonna upload it. Whatever. All cool. So this video is just some game. If you're into like making games, um, here's some basic tips, tricks that I've learned. And this can be for video games, board games, card games, doesn't matter. I just currently have like my current game up just before I go into a bunch of stuff. And I'm just gonna like start from like the beginning. And this can be if you're working by yourself or if you're working in a team. This can go for either or. Either or. First thing I'm going to go over is a game design document. So let me turn that on, turn this off. So this is my game design document from my last class, game design. And you'll hear me mention like this class, last class, that kind of stuff. So it was called Town Lost to Time. This is like the title page. The title, this here is the genre. So it's an RPG slash town builder game. So try and figure out what genre you're going for. First person shooter, RPG. This is an RPG town builder. MMO, arcade, action, that kind of stuff. Kind of put what your thing is here. Platform, is it going to be PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Switch? It's going to be multiple platforms. Put that here. And then below here, you could do like, why is that? Okay, so make this like 12, make this bold. And then just put your name or your team members' names on it. Put who's all working on it. And then I put page numbers on mine. And then do the second page is a table of contents. If you're doing this on Google Docs, you can literally just do insert table of contents. Same thing for Word or any of that. I do all my stuff on Google. I do it on a big Google Drive. That way, if I'm working on a team, I can share it with the team. If I'm working by myself, I have everything backed up. Let me reinforce that. You want to have everything backed up. So if you have it on your computer, great. Put it on an external hard drive and then put it on a Google Drive. Because let me tell you, if you put in a ton of hours worked on something and then you lose it all, you're going to hate yourself. So having stuff backed up on a Google Drive that you can always get to is amazing. Okay? It is amazing. Or, do Backblaze. I'm not sponsored by them. I currently don't use them, but I know that they do amazing things. Sign up for a subscription with them. So they're constantly backing up your stuff. Do something to back up your files, okay? You want to have your stuff backed up. You do not want to be working on something, have it almost done, ready for release, or ready for a demo, or ready for something, and it all go away. Okay? Definitely back up your work. So have a table of contents. If you have this, inserted, you can click on it and you can just hit this little update and it'll update it. And this is if you have, put stuff in properly. So like here, you have your premise and your high concept. So this is 3 to 5 sentences only. So this is just your elevator pitch. This is the main points of your game. That's all you want. How are you trying to sell this game? This is if you're talking to an executive. of a company. How are you trying to sell that game? 3 to 5 sentences. That's all you got. Go. Okay? These are your key features. So this is 3 to maybe 7 key features of the game. If it's a first-person shooter, don't put first-person shooter. That's not anything new. I did put customizable main character because that's a big selling point in a lot of games nowadays. A lot of games aren't turn-based anymore, so I put turn-based. I put that, you essentially get to make your own kind of base here. That kind of stuff. So, put this different stuff. What I didn't put is that there's a new magic system that you're going to discover. So, because I wanted that left out, because that is going to come in down here. So, player motivation. Here, that you're going to rebuild your small town and you're discover more about the story. So this is, my player's motivation. And then I put, you're going to meet, NPCs, which is here. And then I put, oh, by the way, you discover that the reason for everything being desolate and the small wars is because of this new magic system that they found. This new magic that they found. So, I'm building into everything, and everything touches back. And that's what you want. You want stuff touching back constantly. Gameplay highlights. Again, I touched on, hey, there's different NPCs you can meet to build up your village. Oh, by the way, there's that new magic system. And that some people, depending on what you do with that magic system, may or may not be recruitable. So, touch on those, really interesting gameplay stuff. Technology. So I said, hey, there's a turn-based combat system. What I didn't say is there's 3 different turn-based combat systems. So, there's different combat systems. So there's 2. So here's the tactics. So when you're attacked by raiders, etc., attacking towns. So here's the raiders, here's the players, here's the town or village, and it's gonna obviously be on a grid, but you fight them off. This is normal fighting, so this is turn-based. Here's this, here's the different character stuff, here's the party, here's some enemies. That's what it's gonna look like. This is what we call user interface. This is what this stuff's gonna look like. It's very helpful to have a little, even if it's a crappy build out like this, it's still good to go ahead and visualize this, because this helps, the art, the programmer, it helps everyone else build this out so they know what it's gonna look like. Art and audio. So is it gonna be 2D, 3D, 2.5D? Is it gonna be a fantasy? Is it gonna be realistic? Is it gonna be a sci-fi style? Is it gonna be pixels? Like a pixel style? What style are you going for? Same with the music. What type of musical style are you going for? Because you don't want a fantasy style and a sci-fi music style. Those might not mesh. Make sure what you're going to have is going to mesh. Gameplay summary. This is where you can go into the essentially starting the game. So mine, you start with the character customization. And then you arrive back in your hometown, see what's happened there. And then, discover the real reason of the war. And the new magic and that stuff. The backstory and game world. So this is where, I talked about the game world, where most of the story is going to take place. Talked about the Academy of War, which is, where you're coming back from, the forest, meadow, deserts, the other towns, some of the NPCs, the fact that they're recruitable, that kind of stuff. So that's where you can talk about this, because you want the backstory and the game world to match what you're setting up. So if you're gonna have a fantasy game, you need to make sure you have a fantasy world and not a super high, like realistic world to match your like fantasy setting that you're going with. That those aren't gonna mesh. So keep that in mind. Gameplay. So this is like my game doesn't have a scoring system, but if you have a scoring system, you're gonna want to talk about that. If you have leaderboards, you're gonna want to talk about that here. Mine doesn't. Mine has, resource gathering and NPC gathering and town building. So that's what I put in here, and the new magic system. Story progression. So that's what I talk about here as well. About how you have to build up your town, and then you can go get new villagers in other towns, and you can build up those villages, and that's how you unlock more and more of the story. And that's also how you end up finding out about this magic, but that magic, could cost people some of their jobs. So some people you might not be able to get, and essentially every player is going to have a vastly different town by the end. Character descriptions. So here you don't want NPC number 365. Here you only, unless you're doing Pokemon, then you want every single Pokemon. But if you're not doing like a Pokemon style game, here you want just the main characters. So, the hero, main character, whatever you want to call them. So I just put hero, heroine, and then I put slightly customizable, what customizable features they have, and what they decided. If you decide what you decide to study. The butler, someone who you can get pretty early on, and 2 leaders of 2 of the towns that you can get to. And you can go into more and more and more of the characters. This is going to have a lot of recruitable characters, so this part would actually get pretty long because I'm going to have a lot of recruitable characters. I'm going to have one of each of the heads of the towns and so forth. User interface. So this is where you would talk about how the player is going to get around in the game. What keys are they going to use? If they're using keyboard and mouse, if they're allowed to use their gamepad, like an Xbox controller. Their computer, what are they going to use? If they're playing on PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, what are they using? What does the in-game menu look like? So this is my in-game menu. This is what I want it to look like. And then I could go to even more in depth of, okay, so if you click on items, what do the items screen look like? What does the skill screen look like? What does the equipment screen? And so forth. You don't have to go that in depth, but you can. This is like the keyboard outlay. Platform. This is where you talk about the platform and why you're choosing that platform. You could also talk about what engine you're using here. You could do, Unity, RPG Maker, Unreal, your own game engine, and why you're choosing that. Project management. So this can be just you and credits for any resources you pay for. So like artwork, if you pay for that. Who did you pay for it? Who'd you pay? Audio, who'd you pay? That kind of stuff. Scripts, who'd you pay? That kind of stuff. Or if you have a team, what each of their who's the art people, who's the programming people, who's the design people. Budget, again, you can put, this. How much did you spend on it? Design, how much did you spend on it? If you paid for art, how much did you spend on it? If you paid for anything, you can budget this out, or how much you are willing, how much you're planning on spending on it. Schedule. This is really good, so that way you keep stuff on schedule to put stuff out. So, milestone 1, I want to put this out in 3 months, and this is what I want to have done, or I want this done by this time, so I can have this much out. Same, all the way down. So that way you keep yourself on a date to put something out, anything out, just a demo. And I'll get to why you need to have something, anything. Even if it's just getting to the first town or the first boss or getting through the first quest. Get something out, let people playtest it. Not you, because you're your own worst critic, but other people, your friends, your family, your colleagues, other servers that you're in. Just get it out. Let people playtest it. Get the feedback they have. Go back in. Fix it. Redo it. Redo the parts. Do it again. It's a reiterative process. Another thing that I found really helpful, and this is going to sound dumb for at least a video game, it is not, trust me. Do a paper prototype. So, for the first level of a video game, for your board game, for a card game, doesn't matter. Build out the rules for a level. So for me, start at the player's hometown. To go to a gathering point, roll a d6. And then, from there, if you rolled a 2, you'd go to the meadow. Then you'd roll another d6. That would determine if you're gathering something or if you're fighting something. And then, depending on that, if you ended up fighting something, you would roll a 1d6 to determine who goes first. Players start with this. Monsters start with this. And then 2d6 for attack and damage. This tells you your hit to miss ratio. If you die, they respawn at the starting point. If you win, you get 2d6 gold. And then you go to the, so if you went to, I said you went to the meadow. So let's say you made it through. You end up in the meadow village. If you get enough money, which is possible, max you can get is 12 gold. So if you got to 12 gold, let's say, you at least got enough for the cooking supplies. Great, cool. You go back, and you do it again. Your goal is to upgrade each one of these buildings, right? To the final portion. So, some of the stuff you can buy, and then the other stuff you just need to gather. Easy enough. And this looks really crappy. It wouldn't look that crappy. You would actually, in the game, you'd have a little, stand in front of the thing saying, hey, if you do this, or you'd have, after the first one, you'd have a person there going, hey, if you give me this stuff, I can, make better stuff, and so forth. But what you can do is then you can take this to your friends, your family, and you can say, hey, play this with me so I can see how well this works. It's not going to be exact what it's going to look like, but this can help me figure out how well this works. So there's that. So that's super helpful. Another thing that's super helpful that we're using this month from my game development class when we're all in teams, and you can use this if you're in a team or if you're not in a team, either way it's super helpful, is product backlog. So don't so much worry about the degree. Team member you can use whether you're in a team or not, just put your name down. Team role, it would be everything. And for team member, what you can do is the same thing I showed you previously. If you're paying for assets and stuff, you can put the person you paid here, put what asset you got from them, whether it's artwork, maps, audio, etc. You can put what you got from them. That way you remember what you got from them. And Epic. So this is functionality, fun factor, innovation. So my group's making a game called Treasure Castle. Don't worry about. So we need body cards, monster cards, Peter Pan themed board, color-coded layout, and our special cards. So we have 5 epics. Only do 1 to 7-ish epics probably. Try not to go crazy, because I remember how I said these are your key features. Okay, so remember how I said 3 to 7 key features. So do 3 to 7 epics. Keep it simple, sweet and simple. So, and then you're gonna label. Do 3 to 5 of these user stories. So we only have 3 to 4 of these for our epics, of these user stories. So do 3 to 5. is pretty good. And then priority. So how soon does this need to be done? Estimated sprint. So would this be in sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, sprint 4, sprint 5, whatever. And this will depend on probably how many epics you have. More than likely. Not always, but more than likely. The date you add this, so this can be added to, taken away from, and how many hours that you have. So this is an estimate, so estimate it and then change it with the actual hours you put in. Or you could add a row, put actual hours. You know, if you wanted. And do it that way. So, I put make body cards that give bonuses, make body cards that give negatives, give body cards artwork. So we want to make the body cards before we ever do the artwork. So those are going to be priority 1. Make the monster cards, add the trap cards, make the boards, do the tiles. So all that stuff we want done before we ever, we want to, at least put, hey, this is a tile before we add the color coding, right? And then we want to make the special deck because we decided to add the special deck late. It's not super priority, and in my class we're only doing 2 sprints, so that's why it's just 1 and 2. But in reality, you could break these up into more sprints. Sprints are 1 to 4 weeks long, and sprints make sure that you're constantly putting something out. So in reality, you could do, okay, we're going to do this many items for sprint 1, this many items for sprint 2, this many items for sprint 3, and you could say, okay, we're going to have, for milestone 1, we're going to have sprint 1 completed by the end of milestone 1 on this date. So that way you know. And that way you're like, all right, I got this. We got this. That way you keep yourself in check or keep your team in check. So that's the product backlog. And you can fill this out as much as you need to. You can add, you and your team can add to it. That's why I said Google Drive's great if you're working in a team or even if you're working by yourself. Because you're not going to lose any of these documents. This is the sprint backlog. So this is something akin to this, to the product backlog, but this is the sprint backlog. So you would do sprint number 1. How many days? So if it's if it's 1 week, it might be 7 or 10 days. If it's 4 weeks, it's a month long. It's 30 days. Put the start date, put the end date. I didn't put the end date because I was the one that did this. I fucked that up. Again, put your name. If you're working on a team, put everybody's, team with their names, put what everybody's accountable for. If somebody's team lead, put that they're the lead, and they should be holding everyone accountable for doing their work, they should be checking in every day. Hey, how's everybody doing today? What are you guys completed for the day? What did you guys do yesterday? Can you guys show me what you're doing? And I'll show you how to do that. There's a great thing that we've been using in my class. Sorry for the cough, guys. But if you're paying for stuff, still, as a way to keep reminding yourself, okay, who do I need to credit for this stuff? And you can put those people down and put, okay, I paid for this from this person. Okay, so this is their name. This is what I got. This is their name. This is what I got. And then, you put the ID. You put what task number it is. You put, okay, this is what the user story was. This is, who I got it from or what team member's working on it. And this is how long it might take them. And then if it ends up taking them shorter or longer, you can put the actual hours. If you want to add a row and put actual hours and that kind of stuff. So that way you can see what your estimated hours and your actual hours ended up being. That's completely fine. So that's what that is. Super helpful. So how can you hold everyone accountable? This is the great thing. So if it's just you, of course you don't need to put your name on it. And yes, my last name's Sturzer. Don't worry about it. I don't care if you guys see my last name. But what you can do. Okay, so just realized I didn't name this one. So this is for my team's project, Treasure Castle. So I didn't do anything Monday. So I didn't put anything down. I didn't do anything Saturday. I didn't put anything down. I was at D&D all day. I didn't do anything Monday because I didn't do anything Monday. But what you can have everyone do, and they can either do a daily check-in or you can do a weekly check-in with this. They can put, mine says student name, but you can just have them do, their name. Do what your group, your game's name is. So put game name or whatever. Put the name of it in. The rest of this you can just leave how it is. If you want to pause the video, like take a picture, blah, 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 go for it. Completely go for it. I do not mind. And get it all formatted. And don't just put Monday. Hold yourself more accountable. Put Monday, and then put the actual date. Put Tuesday, put the actual date. Put Wednesday, put the actual date. Put Thursday, put the actual date. This would be for last week. So last Monday was the 15th. So I would put 5. Which I would put space. I would put 5, 15, 23. And then Tuesday was 16, 23. And then I would do 5, 17, 23. And then I would do 5, 19. Oh. Wait, that's not right. Yeah. Yeah, 18. Okay, my brain is dumb. 18, 23. 5, 19, 23. 5, 20, 23. 5, 21, 23. There you go. Holds itself very accountable. If you put each day, then you would put the hours. So how many hours did it take? Our class lectures are like an hour long. Chatted with my group. I did our product and sprint backlogs. That day, I watched the class lecture, chatted with the group. I made our Google Drive, I made our Google design document, and then I did this a couple days ago, and then I threw it up, and then have them do not just this, because this you can lie on. So have them do this, and then have them do a short video that can be like 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. Shouldn't probably take longer than 5 minutes. Have them do a video showing proof of what they've put here. It's not going to show, like, it's not going to take all, 17 hours. But it can show proof. They can show, hey, this is the stuff I've researched. Hey, this is the reference images that I've got. Hey, this is the artwork that I've been doing. Hey, this is the audio that I've been doing. Hey, this is the programming that I've been doing. Hey, this is this. Hey, this is that. This is the dialogue that I've been working on. This is the quest line that they can show that. So that way, you can see what everybody's been doing. And as for ways to chat with your team, there's, of course, Teams, there's Discord, there's Zoom, there's Skype even. There are many ways to chat with your team members. There's even Google. There's Facebook. There's any way you can think of. If you have Discord or Teams, I know you can set up channels to, just for like the programmers to chat and the artists to chat and the designers to chat and share their works back and forth. And if you set up a Google Drive, you can set up folders just for them, so they can be sharing that work back and forth. So that way, everything's there and nobody's gonna lose anything, and everything can be worked on wonderfully. And then you can have a channel that's just called, individual log, individual like weekly logs. And everyone can just share their video weekly log of them sharing this first and then sharing proof of what they've done. And it's really helpful, And that way, when you get to the end of that sprint, you have something to show for it with your group, and you can be like, alright, we have something that can be tested. Let's get that tested, let's put it out, let's see what people think of it, get feedback, work that feedback in, have a meeting, work that feedback in, and then work on what we said we were going to work on for this next sprint, have a consensus meeting, say, hey, okay, this is what we want for this next sprint. And you could have weekly sprint meetings too. You can say, okay, so this is what we did this last week, let's make sure we're still on course for this week. You can do that as well, and it can be really helpful. Okay? So that's just some stuff I wanted to cover that's really, really helpful. And I hope you guys, really enjoy my stuff. The next video will be, some RPG Maker, stuff. But yeah, I just thought I'd kind of help out with that kind of stuff that I knew. And like I said, back up your stuff, get stuff out to be testable, playable. Just get something out. Okay? So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. And subscribe, and of course ring the bell. Both of those are very helpful as well. Thanks, and